Hey, 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 hey. I know that sounds so corny. I used to hear somebody say it, and we are of a particular age, and I think maybe they got it from Fat Albert or some TV show from back in the day. Hey, 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 hey. Yeah, it's Fat Albert. Anyway, somebody in my life now says it, and it drives me crazy when I hear it. But now I find myself saying it more often than not. Anyway, let's get to today's talk. This has been on my mind so much. And I got some notes here. Yeah, I'm going to talk through these notes, but I think the topic is still it's a good one, and I think it's necessary for us to have. So come on in. This conversation might get a little bit uncomfortable, but that's what we do. That's how we like it. Um, the idea that the things we value most, like the very nature of love, the thought that that might be more of a social design than a soul deep truth. Hear me out. The question always is, given that, the question always is who benefits the least and who benefits the most from a systems perspective. Think about it like the systems of capitalism or organized religion or even the historical frameworks of ownership. And if you can take it, and I hope you can, just know that we will be touching on slavery. It is one of the capitalists' favorite things, unpaid labor. However, I will talk about the feel good parts of love because there are some bright spots. This exploration for me surfaced because I love doing my best to have information that allows me to make decisions that serve me rather than undermine me. I want to make decisions from a place of awareness as much as I can, and I want to do it without blinders. Um, so if you're like, this might be interesting, I think you'll really, really, really enjoy today. Now, I love men, honey. Let me get that out of the way because I don't want to pretend like this conversation is going to wind up, hating on men. Maybe a little bit, but maybe not. So talk through, you've seen me talk about my own discomfort with decentering men with that conversation where I'm like, decenter, yes, so that I can center myself, but I'm not ready to kick men out entirely. But maybe that's just me. Let me know if that's your vibe too. Here we hold space, so it's for conversation, and maybe either one of us can be convinced otherwise. Anyway, I don't love the idea of getting lost in big systems that don't have my best interest at heart. And many big capitalist systems, they are not designed to care for people individually. So this talk is to create awareness for us ladies so that we make decisions that serve us in or out of relationships, and especially when we're in this menopause space. So for 30 plus years of my career, I didn't have time to explore this. I was too busy doing the things, and that busyness benefited those larger systems. I was a high functioning worker bee, but as I've entered midlife and retirement, I got more time on my hands, which I love. And I got time to think about myself, who I am, what I like, and will I be satisfied with life in the end? And I'm talking about these things for us. I'm laying it out there. So if you don't have time to think about it, Lord, I wish I had somebody who was talking about this. But at any rate, if you don't have the time to think about it, um, I'm going to hold the space for us to have these conversations. So Now I find myself being pushed to ask and answer certain questions. Now, if I'm being honest, I don't always come to a conclusion, and that's okay. But I can do many things at once. I can hold that question, not have a conclusion, and still interrogate thoughts, so that I get to a place where the paths, the paths that I'm taking better serve me, my family, my loved ones, without having, even when I don't have all the answers, I can still stay curious. Um, I can stay curious. I can data collect, and I can data collect, stay curious, not have conclusions, go down a path. I can do them all at once, and I'm sure you can too. The way that we all accept that romantic love is maybe life's biggest goals, um, it makes my nose scrunch because I'm now wondering who is really served by that societal belief. So, for those of you joining for the first time, I'm Minty Rae. I don't do edits, so please forgive me, and I hope you can get through this conversation with me because I've got some points to make. And I'd like you here. I'd like you to weigh in on your perspective and push back. I guess I don't have to tell you to push back. I'm sure there's folks who are eager to push back, but push back on this thinking because I'd like for us to have a rigorous conversation around this and anything else that pops up here. So let me grab some more water so I can wet my palate, wet my whistle. I don't know why when I'm drinking water it sounds so loud. Sometimes I'm drinking water, I'm like, good Lord, what is that? But at any rate, I'm Minty Rae, if I didn't say it already, and this is our space for the unfiltered, the messy, and the magic of navigating midlife. I'm here to hold space for growth, for wisdom, and um, being content in these transitions that come our way. And I'm glad you're here too. I'm really glad you're here, if I'm being honest. This is a space that I'm calling the inner room. I've been calling it that for a little while now, maybe a few videos, and because I make videos every single day, but that's another conversation for another time. You've probably seen my diaries, and I'm like, my God, I don't know if this is gone. I don't know. But I recently got a therapist, and she's like, keep at it. And I'm like, huh, she might be right. I think we talked through that. This will be very good for me. And I'm always going to be honest here. So I hope it's very good for you too. So this space here is called the inner room. Like I said, it's a tiny space of the internet, little tiny corner on the internet, a very, very, very tiny corner on the internet where I hold the walls back for my ladies in menopause. So I will, I will buck if somebody nuck. I will nuck if somebody buck. I don't know what I'll do. Um, I'm a lover, not a fighter, but I will block somebody for getting in the way of the growth that we are after in this space. So I want us to be able to explore the real, the beautiful, and sometimes the flat out exhausting, you see, the flat out exhausting transitions of midlife. Maybe this is from doing videos. Maybe this is not necessarily midlife. We name a thing here. And here I invite you to name your thing too, so we can clear the fog and manage the fatigue from what we feel. Yeah, but probably aren't talking about in our daily lives for more reasons than one. If you're looking for a place to just be, you're in the right place. Baby girl, you are in the right place. So let's see if I can get some illumination happening up in here. Speaking of romantic ideals, we treat love like it's this organic, spiritual thing, but often we are just following a script written by systems. Much of our life is like that. A system that needs us to play a part. Think about religion. For centuries, religion has taught women that love is synonymous with sacrifice, that our suffering is actually a virtue. And, that's a brilliant way to keep a system stable, wouldn't you say? Convince the woman that her own depletion is holy. Feel familiar? It does to me. Or look at the legacy of property and ownership. Historically, love was used to manage assets. When we hear the echoes of belonging to someone, we have to ask, is this a soul connection, or is it the DNA of a system where one person was the owner and the other was the utility? My gosh, some of this breaks my heart when when I think about it. So for 30 years, for 30 plus years, I didn't have the bandwidth to look at this. But now I'm asking, is this romantic peak we're all supposed to be climbing actually the summit of our souls, or is it just the place where we are most useful to the world that we're in, to the world that's around us? So, me, if I'm being honest, I'm not looking to opt out of love, but I am looking to optimize it so it actually serves me. Um, when estrogen drops, that bonding fog, the hormone that primes us to keep the peace and ignore the cracks, it dries up. And then suddenly you look at the love script and you see the engineering. You realize the fatigue isn't just because you're busy. So let's give it a name, because that's what I like to do. It is the soul exhaustion of being the support being for a structure that wasn't built for your individual piece. And so you're finally seeing that you have been subsidizing the system with our own energy. But now I have time and I'm exploring the clarity so that we can be fully knowing. I hope that in this discussion, we are no longer just a cog in this wheel, but also an architect for love, an architect for love in a way that we optimize love, maximize love, um, especially this romantic idea of it. You know, I want to just quash it because I want all things to serve us. But at any rate, yeah, I don't want us to be a cog in the system. I do want us to be an architect, just because, just by virtue of the fact that we're having this discussion. And as I'm talking through this, um, I'm checking in with myself as usual, because it can be frustrating to know that your life is not your own in some of these ways. So, I always think of it like this. While you can't control all of the things, you can't hold the sun, moon, and stars back. And we don't want to do that. It's not we don't have the capacity to do that, the interest or the energy to do that. But you know, you want to find your lane and swim with the flow. Understand that there is a lane, swim in that lane until you want to get into another lane, know that there's some things that have to happen when you're swimming in this new lane. I don't know what kind of tangent I was going on with that, but the point is, you want to get into the flow. You don't want to do the work of holding the sun, moon, and stars back, but you want to find your flow. And like I said, this thing about love, I'm wondering. I really, really, really do wonder if it was designed in some way to have us do more work than we are cut out to do, or ever want to do. So here we work to know, and we work to do what we can, in terms of what we do have power over. And really, knowing that we have power over some things makes me excited, knowing that there are things that I can do to bring even a little bit more peace to myself. So having awareness of things that intend to oppress, that in itself can be liberating. That awareness helps me recognize you know, when that awareness comes up, when this conversation, started floating in my mind here recently, um, that's the time that I know I need to pause. Um, it's a time for deep, guttural breaths, like kind of like just what I just did. Um, they almost go hand in hand. I feel like awareness is a tool that tells me to breathe, actually. And my clue that it's probably time for a change. Maybe even a slow change, but growth is on the horizon. Um, like I've said more than once, because peace and happiness and thriving, it's our right. Awareness is what I'd like to give to you. It's our permission. We have permission to do it. We have permission to close the chaos and the noise out so that we can hear our own thoughts, that can serve us. Sometimes the most revolutionary thing that you can do is to be still and listen to what's happening inside of you, not what the script um, says you should want. Um, Hold on, I got an alarm going off, so give me a second here. Not in terms of what the script says that you should want, but understanding what it is that we actually want. So slowly acting on those thoughts builds confidence to go as far as we want to in this life. You may know that many times our actions don't have to be big steps. Small ones work, but taking those steps is living, it's growing, even if you correct the course. It's like awareness, a breath, and it's time to start doing something different. So awareness gives you the map, and it helps us to have control of our breath. Awareness gives us the pace. Um, it helps to ground us for the pace that we want to take. So, girl, take a deep breath. So, I'm leaving you with this. We didn't answer the question because I don't have the answer, but I do know that I wanted to interrogate this thought about love, because there's so many systems that have been given to us. We're clear on that. So just be aware of it in your own life. Where you can, have love serve you. Have this idea of love serve you. Um, you know, all of these things that we are aware of are like jewels for the taking. So, like I said, I'm leaving you with this. If you took off the blinders for just one day, who would benefit the most from your awareness? And what might you gain? As we move through this transition, we get to renovate. We get to decide what love looks like when it's stripped of the systemic baggage. maybe it's less about belonging to a role and more about finally belonging to ourselves. So, ladies, what are your thoughts? When you look at the system of love, do you see the parts that were never designed for your peace? I can think of a few. Unpaid labor. Um, well, I can think of that one for sure. Um, I want what's best for us. I don't want what's particularly best for us at this time in our lives. Um, this is really just the beginning of some might say the beginning of the end, but it can be an amazing ride from now on until such time. So thank you for being inside the inner room with me today. Like I said, in this small corner of the internet, um, subscribe and like. It does help us stay connected with each other, so that when I'm having these conversations, you can chime in and push push us in a direction that best serves us. Um, let's talk. Put your reactions or your realizations about this topic in the comments. Also, share the video if someone you know can benefit from this talk on the architecture of love. And until next time, my loves, take care of yourselves. Today was a delight, and I look forward to seeing you in the very, very next video. All right, later.